The writings of Abraham, chapter 27. With this berakah resting upon me, I gathered together my family, for I had taken 7 wives in the city of Shalom, who had borne me 50 daughters. And although I had no sons of mine own flesh, yet I had adopted 12 sons of those who were trustworthy to the order of the ancients. And foremost among these was Eliezer of Damascus, who had come to the city of Shalom, seeking after the berakah of the fathers, and had remained as my son. Him I appointed as steward over all I possessed for this journey, for he stood as my heir, for I loved him as my son and brother. But Father Shem said unto me, Eliezer is a good and righteous man, and he shall be greatly baruch in time and in eternity. But he shall not be thine heir, for another shall be thine heir, who shall come forth from the womb of thy wife, whom thou shalt take in the house of thy father, for she is ordained to be thy queen of queens and the mother of thine heir. Wherefore, as I have said, I gathered together my wives and my daughters and my adopted sons and their wives and children, and I said unto them, Hear my words, beloved, and hearken unto my speech, for I have been sent with a mission unto the house of my father in the land of Shinar, to gather out the pure in heart, who are seeking after the true Elohim. Gather together all your goods, and make you tents in which to dwell, and saddle your donkeys to travel upon, for the Most High Elohim hath declared that we shall be wanderers upon the earth from this time forth, until our seed shall come in to inherit this land by the power of Elohim and the sword of his might. The writings of Abraham, chapter 28. Then commenced they their preparations, and on the appointed day all was in readiness for our departure. And when Father Shem came forth to berakah us, Father Noah came also with him. Now Father Noah dwelt in the Hekel, in the heart of the city of Shalom, and seldom came out of the Kodesh place, for I had never seen him without its sacred precincts. But he came forth at this time, and lifted up his hands, and berakah us in the name of the Most High Elohim, and we departed from his house. The writings of Abraham, chapter 29. We journeyed slowly for the sake of the women and children, and we journeyed not upon the Shabbat day, nor upon any of the Kodesh days, for we thought it better to worship Yahweh, our Elohim, according to the pattern of the Shamayim, than to proceed rapidly upon our way. And we did know that Yahweh prospered us in our journey and protected us from the power of all our enemies, because we did trustworthily serve him and worship before his throne according to the divine pattern. But at length we did arrive in the land of Shinar at the city of Now the size of this city was immense. Its buildings were grand and beautiful, with gardens upon the rooftops and rivers of water running down from level to level. The streets were wide and smooth, and the inhabitants wealthy, dwelling in luxury. Merchant caravans continually entered and left her gates, and the great of all nations came here to pay homage to the mighty sovereign Nimrod. Nevertheless, the wealth of this great city was built upon sin, for the people served many mighty ones, and offered upon their altars men, women, and children after the same manner as the Mitzrites. And they had numerous slaves who were kept down in bondage and poverty, and were driven like dumb beasts to provide the luxury in which their masters dwelt. Behold, the inhabitants of the city did delight in whoredom and adultery and murder and all manner of evil, whereby they might get gain. And the anger of Yahweh was kindled against them. Nevertheless, he did not let them go, on that they might be fully ripened in iniquity before the fullness of his wrath should fall upon them. All of these things did Yahweh Elohim show unto me in a dream on the night before we entered into the city of And he said unto me, Abram, this city is vile and corrupt, but in it are some few souls who have not bowed the knee to their mighty ones, and it is because of their prayers that I have brought you here, that they might be taught to worship the true Elohim after the order of the Shamayim, and be led out from wickedness and bondage. Wherefore go unto thy father's house, for thy mother hath sorrowed for these many years, and I have softened the heart of thy father toward these, that he shall make thee welcome, and will protect these against the anger of the sovereign, such that thou shalt be able to accomplish thy mission. Behold, Abram, I am Yehua, Elohim of thy fathers Shem and Noach, and of all the righteous fathers back to Adam. Wherefore I will remain with thee, and confirm upon thee all the berakah of the fathers, and thou shalt stand at the head of a multitude. Amém. The writings of Abraham, chapter 30. In the morning, before entering this city, I gathered my family together, consisting of my 7 wives, my 50 daughters, my 12 adopted sons, and 350 men servants whom Shem had sent with their families, being in all 6,370 souls. And I said unto them, Behold, this great city is steeped in wickedness and sin, for the secret combinations, which was from the beginning, doth hold her sway. Wherefore ye shall remain here under the direction of Eleazar, while I go alone into the city unto my father's house. For Yahweh Elohim of Shem and of Noach hath promised me that he will protect me against the anger of the sovereign, such that I shall be able to accomplish my mission. I led my family in prayer before Yahweh, kissed them all, and departing from them, entered into the city. The writings of Abraham, chapter 31. Being led by the Ruach of Yahweh, I found my father's house, and entering the gate, addressed the guard who was standing there, saying, Behold, I am Abram, son of Terach, who hath spent these 40 years in the house of Shem. Take me now to my father. The guard stood as one dumbfounded, knowing not what to make of such a greeting, but at length called a boy whom he dispatched to locate my father. At length the lad returned, following closely by my father, who was greatly surprised to see me, but who recognized me as his son by the inspiration of the Ruach of Yahweh. By this time, my arrival had caused great excitement throughout my father's household, which was very large, and my mother, having heard of my coming, hastened to the place where we were, weeping and rejoicing, for she had thought that I had wandered from the cave and been slain by wild beasts in the wilderness. At length she led me away to her chamber to talk with me, and I told her of all that had transpired with me since my leaving the cave, of my being led by the messenger to the city of Shalom, of being instructed under the direction of Shem, of the increase of my family, and of the mercies of the true Elohim of the Shamayim exercised in my behalf. I talked to her of the futility of worshipping mighty ones of wood and stone, made by men's hands, which have no power in them, and of the order of the ancients, which was preserved in the city of Shalom under Noach and Shem, which I had been sent to proclaim in the great city of The writings of Abraham, chapter 32. My mother heard all my words and rejoiced in them, for she was one whose heart had been turned from the worship of dumb mighty ones to the worship of the unknown Elohim. Moreover, a small body of like believers, numbering about 100 souls, met secretly in my father's house to worship the unseen Elohim and pray for further light concerning his ways, among whom were my brother Haran, with his son Lot and his daughters Milcah and Sarai, and my brother Nahor. Now when my mother had heard my words, she bade me remain with her until evening, when the believers were to meet in her rooms. Wherefore that night I met with those who had rejected the idolatry of their fathers, and they were all of the seed of those who had come out from the city of Peleg. Wherefore I rehearsed unto them all the things I had told unto my mother, and they likewise rejoiced therein. But unto my father I spake not of these things at this time, for he was yet privy to Nimrod, and was steeped in his evil ways. The writings of Abraham, chapter 33. When I had dwelt in my father's house for 7 days, teaching the word of Chai unto the believers, I went unto my father as he sat in his outer court with his servants attending to affairs of state. And when he would hear me, I said unto him, Father, where is the Elohim who created the Shamayim and earth and all the hosts of them? My father Terach answered me and said, Behold, my son, those mighty ones who created all things are here with us in the house. My father, show them to me, I pray thee, I exclaimed. Whereupon my father Terach led me unto a chamber in the center of his house, wherein were 12 great mighty ones and numerous smaller ones. And my father said unto me, Behold, my son, these 12 great ones are rulers among the mighty ones, and this largest one is ruler above all, and these others were their assistants in creating all things. And my father Terach bowed down and worshipped before his mighty ones, and we departed from them. The writings of Abraham, chapter 34. When I departed from the presence of my father, I went unto my mother and said unto her, My mother, there is a great evil in this place, for my father keepeth a room full of mighty ones in the center of his house, which thing is contrary to the commandments of Elohim. Wherefore the wrath of Elohim shall not depart from this house until they are destroyed. Let one of the young men be sent, therefore, to fetch a kid of goats, and make thereof savory meat, for therewith shall I destroy these mighty ones, in which is neither life nor power. My mother therefore summoned one of the young men who was with her in the house, and sent him to fetch a kid of the goats, whereof she made savory meat. When it was prepared, I took the savory meat from her, and went unto the room where my father kept his mighty ones. And I prayed there unto Yahweh my Elohim, saying, O Yahweh, Elohim of Shem and of Noach, look upon me here in my weakness, and strengthen mine arm, that I may destroy these false mighty ones, and give me the wisdom and strength to go through all that follows, and endure until the end in service unto my Elohim. When I had said these words, the Ruah of Yahweh fell upon me, even the Ruah of Nevuah, and I was led to exclaim, Woe unto my father and this wicked and corrupt people among whom he dwelleth, whose hearts are all inclined to vanity, for they serve mighty ones of wood and stone, the workmanship of their own hands, which neither eat, nor smell, nor hear, nor speak, for there is no power in them, and those who serve them shall likewise be powerless to escape, when the wrath of Elohim shall overtake them in a day they think not. The writings of Abraham, chapter 35. At this time the Ruach of Elohim fell upon me in mighty power to strengthen mine arm, and picking up a hatchet which I had brought with me for that purpose, I destroyed all my father's mighty ones, both wood and stone, by the power of Elohim which was in me, except for the largest, in whose hand I placed the hatchet. Then going to my father, I said unto him, My father, I have seen a wondrous thing, for my mother did make me savory meat this day to offer before the mighty ones who created all things. And when I took the meat in unto them, they all reached forth their hands to partake thereof. When the one who is ruler above all saw their words, he being angered left the room, and returned with a hatchet wherewith he destroyed the other mighty ones, both wood and stone. And behold, he standeth there even now with the hatchet in his hand, and the savory meat before him. The writings of Abraham, chapter 36. Hearing these words, my father hastened unto the room of his mighty ones, and found it even as I had said, and his anger was kindled against me, and he said, This is an idle tale thou hast told me, and false. Why hast thou done this thing, and lied unto me? These mighty ones have no life in them to do these things, for they are wood and stone, and behold, I myself have had them made by the craftsmen. Why hast thou then come into my house to destroy my mighty ones? The writings of Abraham, chapter 37. The Ruach of Yahweh fell upon me at this time, that I should answer my father, and I said unto him, How is it thou serves these mighty ones of wood and stone, the handiwork of the craftsman, in which is neither life nor power to act? Can these which cannot deliver themselves from the hatchet deliver thee from the power of the enemy? Can they hear thy prayers when thou callest upon them from out of the midst of thine afflictions? Surely it is an evil thing that thou and thy people should serve these false mighty ones. For Yahweh, He is the Elohim, who created the Shamayim and earth and all that is in them, and He hath commanded all men to worship Him only, and to serve Him all their days. Behold, your fathers in the days before the great flood worshipped false mighty ones after the same evil combination, into which ye have entered, and because of their perversions they were destroyed. Will ye also go on in their wickedness to bring down the wrath of the Most High Elohim upon you, that ye too should be destroyed from under the Shamayim? Nay, my father, but repent of this evil, and turn unto Yahweh thy Elohim, and live. So saying, I took the hatchet from the hands of the remaining mighty ones, and smote him with it until he was destroyed. The writings of Abraham, chapter 38. My father, hearing my words and seeing what I had done, increased in anger against me, and hastened from his house unto the sovereign, for he had access to sovereign Nimrod both day and night. When he had entered the sovereign's presence, he bowed down before him, and he saith unto him, My sovereign, 50 years ago a man-child was born unto my wife Amþelo, and when he was 10 years old, he went on the new moon to worship our ancestral mighty one, when my son wandered off into the desert and was lost. But he was found by the people of the desert and raised by them, and he hath recently found his way back into my house, and I have received him with honor as my son. Notwithstanding this, he did this day enter into the room of my mighty ones, and destroy them, and hath spoken against our mighty ones, and against that ancient order which hath been handed down from our first father, whereunto we are called. Now therefore, my sovereign, send for him, that he may be judged according to our law, that this evil may be put away from among us. The sovereign thereupon sent 3 of his mighty men, who fetched me from my father's house, and brought me before the sovereign.